So I'm gluing this outside strap with rubber cement, or you can use spray glue and just make sure you glue it solid all the way over. Then glue your stays solid. Okay, now that I've glued my stays solid, I'm going to place them onto the outside pattern. You have to remember to leave that small gap between the two stays. And it's a 3/8 inch turn. But, so there's that little gap that I'm leaving so that you allow a little space for that turn. And that's actually marked on the pattern, that amount of space. And then you'll just glue so you can turn these stays onto the strap. You glue on your stays so you'll have some glue to turn. So I actually did adjust my stay a little bit because I realized these straps are going to turn over a handle loop, so I need these to be nice finished edges. So I cut off about 3/8 inch off, but I still am going to be turning these all the way around, all the way around. So you can cut these little, after you've turned around the corner, take your scissors, put them flat on your strap and cut upwards. And that allows you to make that flat so you don't have so much bulk. Do it on all four. And now you'll be able to fold this over, and that's your strap that you'll sew. Okay, so the same way we did our strap, where we put the stay on the fabric, we glued it and then put the stay on there, we're doing the same thing with the applique. Glue this solid, glue your applique solid, put it down and turn all the way around, and you get your applique like this. And so it's the same principle of this stay, is your strap, your handle.
Okay, one other point. When you turn your tabs, you've turned them all the way around and glued them and then turned them all the way around. When the top of your tab, do not turn the top of your tab. Leave that open. Leave that open and unturned so that when you sew across here, you catch the fabric for secure attachment. Linda showed you how to do your handles and how to turn your appliques, and here's our finished handles and appliques. We've turned our applique around our stay material, and so they look nice and smooth around the edges, and that's what the stay material is supposed to give you, a nice smooth round edge, so it looks very professional. So we have our handles ready to go on. We need to really prepare our pattern, and one of the things you want to do is take notice of these notches, and they're the little lines here, here, and here, and also these little guide points marked this little X, these little X's here, and these are where your appliques are going to go. So what you would do, this is for the placement of your appliques. So you would make a little mark on your pattern. This will come up through your notches that we're going to make there, and that way you'll know that you have enough room for your flat, and you also they're going to be straight. And let me go ahead and show you. Just go ahead and you first get your pattern. Just go ahead and notch the pattern like this, and this will allow, these will be your guide points as to the placement of your straps. Okay, and it also tells you where your seams begin your single ounces. Okay, so now this would be where your straps go, and this is your single ounce right here where you'll be sewing. So now that we're ready, now the other thing we want to do is get ready for our either felt or pellin, and this will give, if you're using fabric, let me go ahead and get this out of the way. And if you're using fabric, your fabric can be rather thin and you want to add body. So what you'll do is you can go to your Joann's or wherever, or your fabric store, and get something called pellin, and it comes in 1,000 different weights. And you can figure out the weight that you would like to use for your bag as far as body. You may want it stiff, or you may want it soft, very, very soft and floppy. And this will help do that. You can also use felt, which is a little bit cheaper than this. Okay, now another thing we need to do, because we're going to be turning this material like this over the top of our bag, and while the reason we're doing that is so that we have a nice smooth edge. So what we want to do to our stay, once we cut it out, is we're just going to trim this 3/8 right here off of our stay material, and this will act also not only give the bag body, but will also be allow this to be used as a turning stay at the same time. And so this is how you're going to be gluing this down before you put on your handles, because you want your handles to sew through this. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and spot glue this. I don't want to really a solid glue, so I'm going to just lightly spot glue it, and this will kind of keep it in place and also allow it to move really nicely. Okay, and then you move this up out of the way, and hopefully I'll hit some of the glue spots, and we'll get a nice stick. Okay. Don't need much. The good thing about rubber cement is that as it cures, it tends to hold things in place very nicely. And then when we sew the bag together, that will also hold this in place. So now that we've got that, we're going to go down like this, put that in place, and then we're going to a little bit more rubber glue, put that like that. I don't know why I'm not using some newspaper, but I guess I haven't got good at gluing. Okay, and so just do it one more time. And okay, I'm going to let that dry for a second. Oops. Let that dry, and maybe you don't have a turning bone at home for turning, so I just use a butter knife out of the old kitchen, and hopefully this is a little tacky. So we're going to turn it over the top like this. Okay. Stay down. We just want to hold everything in place. It's not a permanent glue. Just holding things in place while we work. And see, now, when you turn that over, you have a beautiful, nice, straight, professional looking top. Now the next thing we want to do is get our handles on here and place them, and I'll be right back and we'll show you how to do that. Okay, what we need to do now is mark our front for the placements of our handles. And so what you do when you get your pattern is you take your pattern, and as you can see, I have these alignment little crosses here, and this allows you to pretty much place the if you're using this applique, place the applique where you would like it to be, so that it'd be centering, and also give your flap room to go up and down and come out vertical, so that it's nice and straight. So what you do in this particular case, I have my little marks here, and I took my pattern and just take an awl or any sharp instrument and just poke a little hole there, and I use the inside part of the of my little cross, so that when I put my applique down, it will cover the mark. I've done that, and then I'm going to transfer those marks, those guide marks, to my material. And in this particular case, you can use, depending on the material, if it's leather, you can poke a little hole in it right there. If it's fabric, you can take your pencil and just go like this and make a little mark on your fabric, and this will give you a guide. And as you can see, I have my little points that came out right here. This will give you a guide, and then you simply cover up those points, make sure that it's vertical, and because you made your little marks on the other end, you can see that it's going to be right here. So you just put it up, make it vertical, and then at that point you go ahead and sew it in place. Now what I'm going to do is just put a little glue there to hold it in place while I sew. Put a little glue here on the back, and put a little glue right in between my guide points, just a little bit, not a whole lot. And the good thing about rubber cement is, in most cases, you can actually remove it without damage to the material. So we're going to let that dry. Put our glue in there, let that dry, and then we'll place that, and then we'll go sew it to the back. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this down like this. As you can see, it covers. And now you can see how our bag is going to come together. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch across this and around, and then we'll come back and finish putting our bag together. Okay. Okay, the next thing we want to do, now that we have our appliques on, we want to put the flap on the back. So this is going to be my back, and this is going to be the back, and so I'm going to put the flap on there. The first thing I did to prepare the flap is to put my stay in. This gives me something to guide and give the flap body. I've also turned my top edge, and I turned the top edge on my lining piece. So I'm going to put these pieces face to face, like that, good side to good side, like this. Turn it over, line it up, and then I'm going to sew around 3 sides. The side around the tip of the flap, and the other side. I've stitched around my stay because I have my seam allowance here, and then I trimmed a little bit away because when I turn this inside out, it could bulk up going around. So you'll have to determine that depending on the material that you have. So you can see where I stitched and followed my stay, because this is the actual shape of my flap. The next thing I'm going to do is take this and turn it inside out. Okay. Then after I've turned it inside out, I'm going to make sure I get my seams all out. Okay. And and here we have the beginnings of our flap. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and top stitch your flap one around, which I'm going to go ahead and do. And as soon as I do this, I'll show you how that looks. Okay. Since this is going to be my back, I'm going to take my pattern, and right here you have on your pattern the placement of your flap that's going to be on the back of your bag. So I've taken my awl and made a little puncture there in the corners where my pattern, and then I'm going to take that and mark it. You can barely see it here on my bag, but I can, and you have where this is going to line up so that it's in the bag. So now I'm going to just go ahead and put this in place and sew across. Put our flap on. I put one stitch across, but you can actually, if you would like to, go up a ½ inch, whatever, and then put a second stitch across. It really depends on you, the designer, whether you want that extra stitch there. The next thing we're going to do is sew on our gussets. And the first thing I want to do, because I want to be able to have a turn up here at the top of my gusset, I'm just going to cut this 3/8 of an inch off right here. Okay. Then I'm going to take and do my solid glue just to keep it in place with the rubber cement. Okay, and it's going to look like that. So I'm going to put a little glue here, a little glue here, a little glue here, and then then what you do is go ahead and sew the two pieces together. Once you have them glued down, you sew the two pieces together here. I'm going to do that next. Together. And what I like to do is flatten my seams, and how you flatten your seams, you take a little bit of glue. After you've sewn your gusset, you take the seams and glue them down and then top stitch them. I think this gives the bag a flatter, better look overall. But you don't have to do this. This is really up to you, whatever you decide to do. But I like to flatten my seams. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and attach our gusset to our front and back. And at that point, other than having our straps on, the bag will be completed. Before you attach your gusset, what you might want to do is go ahead and make sure that your gusset is fitting properly, so that if you have to make any kind of adjustments to it, you can at this point. The easiest way to make adjustments, especially if your gusset comes up a little short, is to do some clipping around the corners. That relaxes the corner and gives the material a little bit more space. How much clipping you have to do is really based on the type of stay you're using in here. Is it medium, lightweight, or heavy, and also the material you're using, and how it goes around the curve. So there's a couple of factors in there that you need to consider. So the best way to do is just go ahead and fit your gusset before you start to sew, and then sew your 3/8 seam allowance, go all the way around, and do the same with the other side. Okay, we've put it on our gusset to our front and back. We're looking good here at this point. The next thing we want to do is put our magnetic snap in. What you want to do before you make it, you want to make your final adjustment for your magnetic snap to account for the width of your gusset here. You don't want to squeeze the bag like this. You want it to fold over naturally. Once you got your magnetic snap placed, you want to go ahead and use some chipboard, a little piece, a little square, run the prongs through there, put them down, and then put a little bit of masking tape over the top of that. This will keep your magnetic snap from ripping your material as you put weight into the bag. So there we are. Make sure that your magnetic snap is centered, and you'll have and there's your bag. Now the next thing we want to do is go ahead and put in our lining, and then I'm going to take presume that you may or may not have, but I'm going to presume that you don't have an industrial machine. So what we're going to do is take our straps, and we're just going to stud those on. All right, so we'll put them through here, because this is fairly thick, and your home machine may not be able to sew through it. So just go ahead and grab a studs and right through there, and at that point your bag will complete. The straps will be the last thing we put on. I took my pattern and I made my lining from the pattern. It fits pretty good. You may have to make a small adjustment depending on the material that you're using to make this bag. I also have an inside pocket here, as you can see, and you can learn how to put this pocket in from some of the other videos that I have on YouTube. But other than that, that's it. We fitted that in, and then many of you probably have a home machine, and sometimes when you're making your straps and you sew across, it could be hard on your machine. So if it is hard on your machine, and here I just took some studs and put it in and give it a nice effect, gives the gold something to go with there, and in the end it turns out to be a really cute bag. So have fun with the pattern. You can always hit me up on YouTube if you have a question or two. I'll be more than happy to answer it. And hopefully this video will make it easier for you to put this really great pattern together. This is, you change the material, and every time you change the material, you have a different bag. So have fun, and thank you for buying the pattern. And remember, HowToMakeADesignerhandbag.com.